the shock in India has been tremendous. It was not expected because trade talks were going quite well.
Yeah.
And the Commerce Secretary led us to believe that a deal would come through. But President Trump apparently decided India wasn't giving enough market access.
Okay.
And then there were a couple of other reasons, Russian oil being the latest problem. Now, if you remember, under the Biden administration, India was kind of encouraged to buy Russian oil so that the price of oil wouldn't go up too much, that Saudi oil and Iraqi oil would be available for the Europeans, because India is a very large buyer of oil.
Yes.
So now suddenly there's a turnaround, and as the Indian foreign minister said, India is quite perplexed at the turn of events. Some people think that President Trump has taken umbrage, and it's like a personal issue with him now, that India did not accept his role in the mediation between India and Pakistan during the 4-day war in May. So it's a whole lot of things that have come together to undo 25 years of really hard work.
Yeah, interesting. Knowing that Prime Minister Modi was the first foreign leader to visit this White House, things were said to be on the right track, to your point. But if this does cut off funding for what the president now refers to as Russia's war machine, is this additional 25% in fact worth it?
That's for the Americans to decide whether they want to pay higher price at the gas pump. But
if it means ending the killing in Ukraine, I guess is the other way of asking.
I'm not sure. Because President Putin has his own agenda vis-a-vis the United States. So it's not as if India stopping to buy oil is going to stop the war. He has, as we learned in Alaska, he wants certain things from Ukraine. He has continued with this war at great cost to his country, his people, and everything. You think he's going to give up because India stops buying oil? Besides, India has said it's going to buy oil from wherever it can get it, wherever the best deal is, because the government of India says it's the responsibilities to the 1.4 billion people of India. I think what's the tragedy is that Indian exporters who export items like gems and jewelry, leather products, they are going to hurt very badly because the U.S. is a very large market for them. And it's going to play out economically.
If I'm hearing you correctly, then instead of helping to end the war in Ukraine, make life more difficult for Russia, we are in fact pushing India further into the arms of Russia and China. Is that how you see it?
In a manner of speaking, yes.
Okay.
Because the relationship India had with the United States, it took years to build. And the whole idea, one of the underpinnings was that India, being a large Asian country, would be a counterbalance to China.
Yes.
And 3-4 administrations in Washington worked towards that. Now, suddenly he's appended that. So people in India are asking, what is President Trump's real game? Is he just cutting India out of everything? Is he wanting to make a deal with China so badly that he's ready to append an entire strategic partnership with India? Is he looking towards what many call the G2, which is a group of two in U.S. and China?
Is that how India sees this?
India is worried about it because even President Obama floated the idea. So Indians are very jittery about it. And yes, they are thinking about it. What is the end game? Is it to divide the world between the US, China, and Russia if he makes a deal with Putin as well on the side? And then India gets left out.
So how do you have both, though? If this helps us reach a deal with China And we're also pushing India into the arms of China. How do you have both?
China is the only country that gains net in this situation.
Sounds like it under this construct.
Absolutely. Because China is already, on the ascendant. Mm-hmm. It wants to displace the United States as the number one power. And it has leverage over the U.S. India does not. So when President Trump put tariffs on China, they stopped critical minerals. And the president backed off. So they have leverage. So they are in a situation where India is trying to reach an accommodation with China. The U.S. is trying to reach an accommodation with China. So Xi Jinping has every reason to be extremely happy.
We have less than a minute left. How would you describe, in a couple of words, President Trump's relationship with Prime Minister Modi?
I would have said that they were good friends, that there was some sort of, friendship between them. I no longer think so. Besides, I hesitate to attribute personal relations to relations between countries, because leaders at the end of the day are looking after their own national interests.
That's right.